Well, the fight against ISIS, the focus of last night's debate, and the most important issue for Americans, according to the latest Fox News poll. So which candidate's strategy stood out? Here to grade the candidates, our political panel, Nimiki Konst, president of the Accountability Project and Republican strategist and editor for Red Alert Politics, Ron Meyer. Thank you both for joining us very early this morning. It was a long night last night. What stays in Vegas, or what happens in Vegas, does not stay in Vegas. We've heard that a lot. In terms of who won and who lost, let's start with the winner overall first, in terms of terrorism and how they handled that.
Overall, I would have to say Ted Cruz. It was very close. He was very close with Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio performed very well, but Marco Rubio had to perform at 150%. He may know just as much as Ted Cruz, but Ted Cruz is able to spin it back to the base. And the problem with Marco Rubio is that he's in between this no man's land of trying to stay into center, but also play to the base.
But they're both rising in the polls,
yes.
So we really saw a Ted Cruz versus Marco Rubio moment throughout the entire debate. Who did you think won in terms of ISIS?
Well, I thought that dynamic definitely played out, but I think who actually won last night by not losing was Donald Trump. Now, I don't say that right now. I'm not a huge Donald Trump fan by any means, but by not losing, by actually, ISIS, he should be weak on that because he's a business guy. He has no foreign policy experience except for dealing with foreign companies. So they should have been able to say, is this guy really ready for the job? I didn't really get that gist. The only person who landed a punch on him was Rand Paul when he said, do you understand the Constitution?
Yeah, and Jeb Bush tried to.
Yeah.
Jeb Bush tried to out of the gate to begin with.
And he improved quite a bit. I mean, I think that was the fire that his base wanted to see, or his donors especially wanted to see, was that fight against Trump. But I don't really know what he gains out of that. There's not much room to grow, mainly because the vacuum has been sucked up by this guy, Marco Rubio. But, to get into, the ISIS a little bit more, I thought it was really fascinating, the debate over surveillance between Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz.
Right.
The debate over Libya, where Marco Rubio called out Ted Cruz on what really happened in Libya, and he was 100% correct. We did not go into Libya. It was actually NATO. And we had, he was a dictator who needed to be ousted because the Libyan people had a revolution. And if they didn't have someone oust him...
So they got into a little more detail there.
Yeah.
So in terms of immigration, let's move to that topic. Who did you think won?
Well, I thought on immigration, the clear winner was actually Senator Cruz because he landed punches and they stuck. And he landed punches on this guy, Marco Rubio. So anytime anyone says Gang of Eight or Marco Rubio worked with Chuck Schumer, Rubio's poll numbers among Republicans go down. Now, that might help him in the general election, but for now, that's not good. Every time someone says Gang of Eight, Chuck Schumer. And so Ted Cruz, Rand Paul ganged up on him. Cruz, I thought, tried to show some nuance, and actually Rubio attacked him from the center, saying, Cruz is more moderate than you think. That actually helps Cruz because that's where he's weakest, is appearing nuanced or appearing like he has any sort of moderation on any policies. So I thought it actually helped Cruz quite a bit.
Yeah. So Nimiki, finally, who do you think in terms of immigration?
I'm going to have to go with Marco Rubio because I'm a Democrat and because I do like to see that somebody in the party has a reasonable outlook on immigration. But he also had a great retort back to Ted Cruz where he said, you actually want to make it legal for illegals to stay in the country. And that's actually correct. If you don't take action, then you're just keeping the status quo in place where illegals are not going through a process of legalization because you can't send them back to Mexico.
So finally, overall winners, just show your paddles at the same time. Let's see if you agree.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz and... Oh, you agree?
Yeah, we agree with
overall
Cruz.
Bipartisanship.
Yeah, bipartisanship right here. Well, I mean, Cruz definitely stood out of the pack. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he landed punches. He seemed nuanced. He wasn't able to be pulled into attacking Donald Trump. So he looked really good. I think Iowa, this will help him there. I think he'll definitely win Iowa. And then the question is, where does it go from there? It's going to get really interesting.
We will see, because overall in the polls, Donald Trump, of course, still leading by far. Okay, thank you so much.
Polls.
Yes.
It's all about Cruz.
We always appreciate you being here the next morning.